to other counterparts throughout the state of Texas who have had to work through a very challenging situation when a major industry has decided to close the doors and those 300 full-time primary jobs have ended. So I want to say first and foremost, thank you to Arlanxeo for the investment that you have made through the years and that you continue to make. In this specific request for a nominating resolution, the state of Texas has this as an incentive in terms of a Texas Enterprise Project designation, of which a nominating resolution becomes part of the application process. It's about a 32-page application that Bill Ho and I have been working on for a little over a month now. And because Arlanxeo is in the City of Orange ETJ, then naturally we work very closely with these industries. And of course, just as a reminder, they are under a industrial district contract or an agreement. It's interchangeable. But in this specific case, the company has made a commitment to invest up to $19 million in terms of equipment and other capital improvements at their site. And most importantly is the commitment of 289 full-time jobs and basically an economic impact from a payroll perspective of $33 million. That is very significant to our community in terms of disposable income, as well as sharing this information in terms of new projects that are happening in our market. So that being said, I'd like to invite Mr. Brian Buskey up for a few minutes to share any comments that he may have on behalf of Arlanxeo. And then if there are any questions that you have, we can certainly address them. Brian?
I'm Brian Buskey with Arlanxeo. I believe I met some of you before. And I just want to reiterate what Jay said. You know, we're committed to this, and this is a very serious thing for Arlanxeo and the retention of jobs and the capital investment we plan on doing. And I just want to say I appreciate your continued support that we've had through the years, and I would really appreciate the nomination for this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Busby. Council, any comments?
Yes, sir. You said that you would have 289. How many employees do you guys currently have?
We currently have around 200. We have around 305 right now. 289 that are within the state of Texas,
Okay.
and we also employ anywhere from 200 contractors on a regular basis. It can vary depending on what kind of capital projects are needed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we also have nested contractors on the site as well.
And so you guys do you guys look forward to like hiring more people in the near future? Because my biggest thing is what I would like to request is, I know it's not in the contract, but if we would like to see some of those employees come from the city of Orange. I know that we can't just necessarily say they have to be City of Orange people, but it's one of those things where like I work at one of the local companies, and I know that like half of our people come from like Port Neches, Nederland, Bridge City, and so with us extending this, and you've already been a part of our community and we appreciate it, we just want to make sure if we can keep a great relationship between our people and you guys who need jobs, that would be amazing.
Well, I think it's a great idea, and you're very correct. We do have people that actually live in Louisiana, Port Neches,
Right.
Yes, Beaumont as well. So, but I think it's a great idea to try to retain them from Orange.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, item 7B, consider a resolution for the reduced speed limit on the eastbound and westbound frontage roads of Interstate 10 east of Highway 62 to the Womack Road turnaround beginning March 2018 until the completion of the project. The reduction will be from 55 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour. This resolution request is made on behalf of the Texas Department of Transportation for safety matters due to roadway construction. Mr. Mark, Chief.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Mayor and council, we had a discussion on 7A, but if we could take a vote to approve the
Okay.
resolution, it would
Okay,
be
I'm sorry.
helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
I'll second.
We have a motion second on item 7A. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. And Chief Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. TxDOT is about to begin construction out in the Highway 62 area, and they're requesting that the speed limit be lowered to 45 miles an hour on both the eastbound and westbound service roads between Highway 62 and the Womack Road overpass.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
We have a motion second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion? Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Chief Martin. Item 7C, consider a resolution of the City Council of the City of Orange, Texas, supporting Orange County, Texas, moving forward with the Texas Historic Courthouse Preservation Program.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The Commissioners Court has asked all the government entities in the county to help and pass this support resolution. They're wanting to make some upgrades and some remodeling to the building. And in order to do that, one of the processes is to get support resolutions from other government entities and stakeholders. And so through this will help them access funds through the Texas Historic Courthouse Preservation Program.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it, that we
Well-
sign it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 7D, consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract amendment with Schaumburg and Polk, Inc. for the wastewater treatment plant improvements Phase 2A and 2B and Link Streets and Mink Street improvements construction phase.
Mayor and Council, Mr. Wolf had to take a meeting this morning on adjusting his priorities, so if you will, if it's your pleasure, I'll go ahead and explain this to you. What this is work at the water and sewer plant. You know, we have a bond program going on to make improvements at the sewer and water plant. This is to provide, hire the engineering firm to provide plans and specifications to rebuild what they call the trickling filter. And this is on the sewer process side. We'll just leave it at the trickling filter. It's the best name to call it out there right now. There was funds in the bond proceeds to work on the trickling filter, but attempts to update it are not being fruitful. So what we want to do, because you can only make a change order to 25% or less of the total project, we're nearing and we're afraid that we're going to exceed that 25% change order rule. So we don't want to get out of compliance with state law. So we want to close out the existing projects and use the existing proceeds from the bond. We're not using more money. We're going to work within the budget of the bond proceeds and reissue a scope of work, re-engineer it, and then go out for new bids, which will be like a start over, and it'll keep us within compliance of the 25% change order rule. So basically what this is closing out an existing project, re-engineer the trickling filter system, and go back for new bids.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8, discussion action. A, consider a motion to approve the refund of an overpayment of local sales and use taxes and to choose the payment option. Ms. Zito.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. This happens occasionally from the state. You know, somebody will overpay, they'll have an audit, and we have to pay it back. So normally, they just take it. It might be $100. It might be small. This one was significant. They sent a letter. They given us an option. The amount is $257,000. And we got the letter back in September, so I immediately called, found out the taxpayer. I requested the audit. We had our sales tax consultants with Muni Services review the audit. I sent it to them. They agreed. It was warranted. So we do owe the money. So since it's such a large amount, the state has given us options. If you pay it in one lump sum, we get a 2% discount. So you save $5,000. Or we can spread it out over 52 payments, which is the audit period. That's why they designated 52 payments. So then we'll pay $4,900 a month. You pay it out, then you don't get the discount. And if we don't do anything, the state's just going to take it anyway. So
Was it a mistake, on Temple's end? that
Let me jump in on this part of the conversation, Councilman. One, we always caution each other and the public on these quarterly reports of the sales tax. People just like to show in a report or a newspaper clipping, the City of Orange's sales tax reports are up 3% or 18%. And I always tell you to be cautious about how you interpret that, because there are times of a clawback. And this is a significant clawback.
Yeah.
The disadvantage it put the city at was the state went and negotiated with this taxpayer and never notified the city of this ongoing negotiation. Now, this negotiation represented the city and the county and possibly whoever else was in that taxing jurisdiction that I'm not aware of. Then they just send us a letter, kind of a demand letter, you owe us X back. And it was difficult to process, one, because it surprised us that it's $250,000. Two, they negotiated without even acknowledging to us that they were negotiating a settlement that included us. And thirdly, the way they structure the repayment, the 2% discount is really the 2% that they levied to collect it to begin with. So it's difficult to pay back. It is not our money. We're not claiming it is. We just wish we would have had a different style of communication to be better prepared for this, so that we wouldn't just come in here and have to hit you, because really the reason why we're giving it to you today is we got a deadline. And we had to ask for an extension of the deadline to be able to bring it to you after we process the information to validate and verify what they were saying they were clawing back.
Well, wasn't there some that they wasn't even qualified for? This had gone on longer than the amount of time?
No, they're, and that's the part that kind of rubbed the city. Usually it is 48 or 36 month window.
4 years.
4-year clawback deal. But since the state's been negotiating it, they let them go back 5 years. And that's the state doing what they can do.
So is there a contingency fund account that this would come from so that it doesn't
You have a
hurt
built-in,
anything else?
you have a built-in contingency line item in your budget, but it's $200,000. Now, the difficult thing is, and we can get into the discussion about appraisal caps and all, this is covering a budget that went over a 5-year period. It supports the argument the city has. It would have been nice to know to be able to prepare for it. You could have prepared yourself better than having to dig in reserves. You could have had the choice over 5 years to scale back your budget during these discussions, because normally when we see a risk or a liability out there, we bring it to you, we make you aware of it, and we start making preparations for the high end or the most conservative settlement we're going to make. We could have had 5 years to prepare for this, but we weren't given that option.
But they're still giving us 52 months if we don't take the 2%.
Well,
And I always like paying stuff up front.
I agree.
If it's possible.
The downside is the net gain, if you spread out the payments over 52 months of keeping that money invested in according to our investment policy, is $766.
Yeah.
The math is there.
Yeah, if we're
You
doing
gotta pay it up front.
0.35 and then we're saving 2%.
What can we do in the future I know we shouldn't do their work for them, but maybe quarterly get them to sign off and say, yeah, you're saying this is it. Trying to prevent a clawback 5 years later.
As much as the state likes to tell the federal government, don't get in our business, they don't pass on that theory to local governments. There's nothing we can do.
So you think it's best for us to just go ahead and pay the full amount back?
I would tell you mathematically, you come out with more money, with paying back less, paying it all in a lump sum.
Okay. And so it's gonna take the 200 of our contingency, we'll have to find the other 57
Well,
somewhere else?
you're using that contingency fund for hurricane recovery to pay off the differences in fleets that, the settlement for what a vehicle was settled out for
Mhm.
versus
The replacement.
repurchasing it, and hopefully FEMA will recognize that as a project. You know, we're already dipping into that 200, but
But we've got reserves besides that.
you have
It's
reserves
not the
beside it.
257,
We
it's
don't
not
like to
all of
use
it.
it for this, but
Right.
like I
Well,
said, we don't have an option.
I think that if, go ahead.
No, I was only asking because I know just our 2 meetings ago, we were trying to hire another finance person, and that was supposed to come from the contingency fund as well.
Mhm.
And so I didn't want us to lose sight of that when we go back and be like, uh-oh, we keep dipping in the cookie jar and there ain't no crumbs now.
Well, in this case, it's hard to get people to wrap their arms around what the process is.
Mhm.
But secondly, this isn't a city fault, this isn't a staff fault,
Right.
this isn't the taxpayer's fault. It's just a fault in the process, similar to what occurs on smaller numbers, whether it be $4,000 or $10,000, where somebody in West Orange accidentally made their sales tax payment by zip code, because it's the same zip code, and the city of Orange was credited for it. This is just a bigger number that occurred.
Yeah, I think that we should pay it if it doesn't put us in a bind.
I say,
No, I don't, you know,
pay it all.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make it.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8B, consider a motion acknowledging receipt of the quarterly investment report for the period ending December 31st, 2017. Ms. Zito.
Yes, this is our quarterly investment report for the quarter ended December 31st. It starts on page 60. You'll see that we have cash and investments of $15,598,486. And that is our cash in the bank, and also our one CD at First Financial Bank for $246,000, which matures in August. And it has a rate of 0.35%. Our benchmark is still the Treasury bills, and the Treasury bills are slowly still climbing. The Treasury rate at December 31st was 1.53, so we're definitely earning below that. Our, even our checking account just earned 0.14%. So the staff was in process of getting quotes on better investments to help improve our earnings till Harvey hit. So we needed to conserve our funds to pay for all the Harvey damages and the debris and everything until we can get our money back. Once our money back's from FEMA, insurance, and we're in a better position, we're gonna regroup and start looking for more investments again to improve our financial earnings on that. Is there any questions?
Okay, is there a motion on 8B?
So
I'll make the
moved.
We
motion.
have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8C, consider a motion acknowledging receipt of the Orange Economic Development Corporation financial report for the quarter ending December 31st, 2017.
Starting on page 65 is the EDC financial report that I presented earlier. Do y'all want to go through it again?
We went through it on the EDC and council was here, so
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8D, consider a motion acknowledging receipt of the Orange Economic Development Corporation investment report for the quarter ending December 31st, 2017. Pretty much the same thing. We've been through it. Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion?
I just want to say thank you, Ms. Zito, for doing all that, and catching all the money, and you do a good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8E, consider a motion approving a request by the Stark Foundation for the use of the City of Orange boat ramp for the 23rd Community Trash Off schedule for Saturday, February 24th, 2018, and a proposed rescheduled date of March 3rd, 2018, in the event of inclement weather.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. We heard from Miss Katie Krantz earlier in the meeting during citizen comments, creating awareness about this event that's scheduled for February 24th. And the city is in collaboration with the Shangri-La staff in terms of a citywide, community-wide event with the use of the City of Orange boat ramp. So this basically executes the agreement to move forward with this event.
Is there a motion?
I'll
So
make it.
moved.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8F, consider a motion approving an agreement between the Stark Foundation and the City of Orange for the lease of Stark Park for Art in the Park 2018, which is scheduled for Saturday, April 7th, 2018.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is one of the most successful tourism-related events that the City of Orange sponsors, and this year is even more special because it coincides with the Bassmaster Elite Fishing Tournament that will be held at the City of Orange Boat Ramp, which is scheduled April 6th through the 9th. This gives us another opportunity to partner with the Stark Foundation, and there will be more information in terms of the advertising, marketing plan that will be released very shortly. Thank you.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have
Second.
a motion, second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8G, consider a motion reappointing Michael Yeater to the City of Orange Convention and Visitors Advisory Board effective February 13th, 2018 through December 31st, 2019.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We're fortunate to have Mr. Michael Yater with us today, and I'd like to acknowledge him. He's seated on the back row. He serves as Vice President for Student Affairs, or Student Services at Lamar State College Orange. He has served on our board the past few years, and so this is an opportunity to reappoint him. Just to note, in terms of all of our boards and commissions, we do publicize the openings on our Facebook page as well as the website and along with media press releases. So I would encourage the general public to consider these openings, and if you're a resident of the City of Orange and you meet the qualifications, then we would certainly like to consider you to volunteer your time for one of these other boards or commissions as well.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion, second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8H, consider a motion appointing Mary King to the Citizens Advisory Committee for a term ending February 13th, 2022. Mr. Knopf.
There are 2 vacancies on the Citizens Advisory Committee, and before you is an application from Mary Akina. She is eligible to be appointed if you should so desire.
I'll make a motion for that.
I'll second.
We have a motion, second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8I, consider a motion appointing Mary McCoy to the Library Advisory Board for a term ending September 30th, 2019.
Good morning. Yes, Ms. McCoy has, I believe this is her 3rd term, but she is the director at the Lamar Library. She has a good background, so
Sounds like
it's nice to have her on our board.
I'll make a motion.
All right, we have a
I'll
motion and
second.
a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8J, consider a motion accepting the resignation of Barbara Kelly from the Library Advisory Board for the term ending September 30th, 2018.
Ms. Kelly had to leave Orange for health reasons. She's staying with family, and she won't be returning, most likely.
I'll
So
make a
moved.
We have a motion, second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8K, discussion and possible action regarding an interlocal agreement between the City of Orange and the Texas Department of Transportation allowing TxDOT to make necessary detours in order to complete the Interstate 10 improvements.
Mayor and council, this is Mr. Wolf's topic, and if it's okay, I'll take it over again. Before you, you have a schematic of an area around Womack Road and Interstate 10. That's what we'll be talking about. These are not uncommon to receive a request by the state to change the speed limit, as Chief Martin said a while ago, or change the traffic flow. And what they're needing is a temporary request to do detours in order to complete a section of the Interstate 10 project improvements. And TxDOT was kind enough to come. I'll defer to them if you have any questions on this project. They were kind enough to come today to answer any questions that you might have related to this request. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager, Council. My name is Kenneth Weimers. I'm the area engineer for the Beaumont area office. I oversee all construction and maintenance for Orange, Jefferson, and Hardin counties. This request is to allow us to detour frontage road traffic along Womack Road between Business 90 and Interstate Frontage Road. It's one of the few opportunities I have to come and try to do a little improvements on city roads in conjunction to one of our highway projects. So I just ask for y'all's support on it. We have met with some local citizens to try to alleviate any concerns that they might have in the area. One change to the packet that I would like to present is on page 2 of the detour layout. It shows just a cross culvert going across Womack Road. As part of our agreement, I would like to say that we will install some pipes that go around the corner as well. That's the only modification on it. Some additional pipe and should alleviate a safety concern there at the corner. So.
Do you have a specific timeline?
Well, with y'all's earlier recommendation of the speed limit reduction, it will take me a little while, so I have a little bit of work to do after I leave in negotiating a change order to get this work added to the contract. But I do expect that it should start here in a month, 2 at the most. The detour will be in place about 4 months, and the whole project on this should take 11 months, given some weather and some other things that might happen, about 1.5 years.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item, let me see where, L8, item 8L, discussion possible action regarding necessary business resulting from Hurricane Harvey.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have a few things to go over today with you, and the first topic I want to talk about is hazardous material removal. As you know, it's part of the ongoing debris removal project. It's one of those items that has to be separated at the curb to be removed, and it has already been one removal of hazardous material throughout the city, and that was provided for by our debris removal contract, D&J. And I'll also have Chief Brown come to the podium to help with this discussion. She's been very thorough in researching alternatives for the city to use. Remember now, and for the general public, you as a council authorized the staff to implement an extended debris removal program to remove eligible debris that is continuing to come to the curb using city staff and city resources. A separate component that we saw a little light of work coming, of loads coming into the curb is hazardous material. Now there's 2 types of hazardous material that we see coming to the curb. Eligible hazardous material, which would be paint buckets, paint contents that were prior Harvey. Maybe some paint thinner, things like that. The way we can tell that is the age of the can, the hardness of the material, or the date. There's even a date on the can. The second type of hazardous material we're seeing come to the curb is ineligible. Those are being left by contractors or homeowners, which are paint buckets that are being discarded that may have a little residue left in the bottom of it, or paint cans that are just being left by the contractors or dumped by citizens or visitors that aren't nice to this community. Those are ineligible. We will not be allowed to pick that up as part of the project to be reimbursed. And the risk, if you say, well, just pick it up anyway, when FEMA audits these books, they may say, well, you commingled all that stuff, so now we're just going to say it's all ineligible. That's why we have to be very consistent, follow the rules, and tell people no, because we don't want to get the whole pile spoiled. Chief Brown went out and solicited requests for proposals to have the hazardous material removed by a contractor. Very expensive endeavor. We don't feel that the load out there that's eligible is worth hiring a third party to come in and do it. We got quotes of over $7,000 to do it. We did find out in talking with Waste Management that they have an acceptable method. Everybody can use it, and everybody can do this from now moving forward. And I'll let Chief Brown go into that a little bit. Tell us about how we can accept hazardous material being like water-based or chemical-based paint.
Basically, when I talked to the lady from Waste Management, it's just drying out the material itself, and it's taking the cheapest kitty litter you can find, and if you've got a little bit of paint in there, put it in there, stir it up so it can't, basically it's like glue. Leave the lid off of it, leave your stir stick in there, and you put it in your waste receptacle, and it's done. Anything that the city could pick up, we would do the same thing. We would have to do the same thing. We could put it in our own waste receptacles as well. But the common citizen can do the same. So when I drove the city, what I was seeing probably was about 90% of new construction material. There's very little actual household hazardous waste that's going to be eligible for pickup. The majority of it is coming as new construction. And as City Manager alluded to, we can tell that in different ways. Most of your new paint cans you're seeing in 5-gallon buckets. The older stuff you're going to see in the little 1-gallon buckets of paint that we can see. A lot of new construction out there, but as far as a household hazardous waste, that is one way that, talking with Waste Management, that's going to be our most economical way to dispose of this HHW.
So with that said, we have discussed at a staff level a way to go out and get this material in the eligible piles of paint. We have a site we can bring it into, a secure site within the city we can bring it into. We can go buy the cat litter, and we can sit there and we can make this a way that we can dispose of it without hiring a third party to come in and do it for us. That portion will be an eligible reimbursement if we apply for it, and we plan on doing it. The reason why I had her go into the whole detail, from this point forward, or if a homeowner has a paint can in front of his house and he just wants to take care of it, he has cats himself, he's got access to cat litter, he can take care of it himself, put it in his cart himself, and it'll be taken care of. The second thing is just to introduce the idea from this point forward when we're not in Harvey recovery. Anybody that has water-based paint that they want to dispose of can do it on their own, and they don't have to wait for hazardous cleanup that only happens maybe once a year. They can dispose of it, put it in their cart, and Waste Management will take it to the landfill. So that's why we're presenting it to it in a lengthy discussion. So with your permission, we will go out to the eligible piles, pick up these cans of paint, bring them back to a secure site within the city, put it into the specifications that Waste Management says that they'll accept it in, dry it out, and put it into the landfill from our city property. So is that agreeable to you as a council? Okay, we'll take care of that. Thank you, Chief Brown.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion?
No, we don't need a
No
motion on
motion?
that.
Okay,
I just
we
needed
just
your
discussed.
direction on
Okay.
that, because we're not gonna do a contract.
Any other comments on 8L?
Second thing I want to do is I've been asked by council to consider attempting to address the drainage issues in front of the homes that were impacted due to the flood. And what has happened is, in the process of people cleaning out their homes, and in the process of the contractor coming to remove the items, there's never been a thorough cleaning of that site once the contractor left his project or scope of work. I'm not saying he didn't do his job. It wasn't his job to manually pick up all the little minute pieces, or it wasn't his job to rake those properties. What I'm saying is, now we have some debris that could become displaced into the drainage system. It could block culverts, and it could cause problems for neighborhoods that could potentially flood again from just a normal rainfall. So staff came together to see what assets or resources are available, and we have three options that we've come up with. One is through the Texas Workforce Commission, you can use kind of day labor, people that are unemployed or underemployed looking for work that can be assigned through the Texas Workforce to work for the city to only address Harvey recovery work. And the reason why I stress that, many people run with the option, well, you can have them come cut a park because the grass is growing. That is not what this grant's for. The grant has to be directly tied back to Harvey recovery efforts, and this would be a Harvey recovery effort. It would be an attempt to clear the drainage of any blockage that was contributed by debris from Harvey. So I feel that we are in good standing, and we will pass any type of audit by how we do this. On a daily basis, or as often as they can get the resources, they will notify the city that they have a group of workers that they're ready to put in the field. The city will have to put a supervisor or somebody to manage them, take them to and from a job site, give them the instructions and the tools necessary to clean out these ditches or clean out this 10-foot right-of-way that is public access, and get that bagged or piled to where the grapple truck can come at a later date and pick it up. So that's one option. The second option, because this type of a grant's going to run out in March. The second thing is, we weekly, if not multiple times a week, contract with the sheriff's department to hire a jailer that puts out trustees in the community to pick up papers, to do odd jobs that the staff is inundated with, to do other things. We can run this with the workforce deal, or we can run it on the backside of the workforce deal, where we take these trustees with a supervisor. They usually work in a group of 4 to 6 people to continue on this program to keep the ditches cleaned up. Because I'm not just talking about ditches in front of people's homes, I'm talking about the major outfalls too, because I see a lot of things building up at these major outfalls along the state right-of-ways or busy roadsides, and you can see just the debris piling up. So that's the second backup to that. So what I'm asking you, I have a third one is, but we've tried it before. We end up having people injured, and we had to pay workers' comp, or it wasn't a consistent program, and that is using through the county probation office, community service workers, and it's just not that dependable of a program. I think it's important that we get these ditches cleaned out in a timely manner now, and prevent any future flooding as people try this recovery. So my first recommendation, contract with the Workforce Commission. That labor is zero cost, although you will have an expense of assigning a city employee to it. The downside of that is internally, things may not get mowed as often. The trash may not get picked up at the park as often, because we got to split up working crews to accommodate that request. The second thing is the expense to hire a jailer to work with the trustees. That would be the backup. So that's an option available.
Supervisor from the city, what's the difference in the jailer's cost?
It has to be a certified jailer.
Yeah, so what does that cost?
$200 a day.
But if we go to,
Could we use both?
You can use both at the same time.
Yeah.
if you go to the Texas Workforce, you're saying that this job would be posted for people to apply for the time, right?
Yeah, I don't know what mechanism they use on their end to notify. I don't know if they have a pool of people already. I don't know that aspect of it. All I know is I sign a contract with them. They find the people. They make them employable. They set up the payroll and make sure they meet the minimum requirements that the city has to hire anybody, and they send us that pool of people.
I think we should give y'all the leeway to do either or. If you need to use both, use both. If you want to use one or the other. And, because you're with it every day, so.
Now, what we'll probably do is back in, and I'll talk to Mr. Wolf because he's the engineer and he knows the hydraulics. I think we need to back into the neighborhoods from the major outfalls. Just because if we don't have the major outfalls clean, it's going to back up into the neighborhood whether their ditch is cleaned or not. So I think the theory is to back into the neighborhoods. but
I've seen
we'll handle
something
it.
like this going on, and I noticed it on Old 90, and it was part of Orange, but a group of men out cleaning up like that, and I don't know
You know,
what group it was, or if it was somebody hired them personally.
yeah, and we don't want a citizen to worry, if they have the strength and they have a little time, and if, God hope, we ever get good weather, they can go rake the front themselves and bag it and we'll pick it up, or they can rake it and put it on the street side of the road and we'll pick it up. That'll help. That'll help us get it faster, and that'll help the neighbors upstream to them. This is all about helping one another.
How long
I
is
think
the,
it-
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
How long will this grant be in place to be able
Till the middle of March.
till March?
And then we will just defer to the trustees.
And then we can continue that on?
We've been doing that, but we will just make a concerted effort. You know, we'll have to stop doing other things to do this.
Well, if this grant is only good until the middle of March, if we were to go to the Texas workforce, they would have a shorter window to get people together in order to work.
Their system's already in place.
Okay, I like the idea of giving citizens an opportunity to make a little money.
I like that too.
There's some people who don't have
But
anything.
just to say that, we can't put a restriction, you said citizens.
Well, I said citizens
I don't
because they're
want the
people.
public to think they're only gonna hire City of Orange people. We want the pool to be anybody.
Right,
Yes.
I get what you're saying, I just wanna make sure everybody else.
Yes.
okay.
We're gonna take whoever meets
Meets
that
the
qualification and let them learn a way to help us.
Okay, I like
Thank
that.
So I got that, and I hate to keep burning your time, but I have two other things to go into. I want to give a brief report on how good Public Works has done in picking up the debris in-house. We have to date picked up 79 loads of eligible debris coming to the curb. That's almost 1,900 cubic yards of debris, and all that went straight to the landfill. Today or tomorrow, we should finish our first pass in the city, and then we'll go back and look at making a second pass. Remember, we said we had until February 21st for the first part, but I have an extension to tell you about in my next topic. So that's just a brief. It's going okay. We appreciate the citizens that weren't impacted by Harvey. They may have to wait a couple of days to have the vegetation or the mattress or whatever they're putting out at the curb. Give us a little time to get to it. We're not skipping the route, but sometimes we're not there on the Monday that they thought we were usually going to be there. So with that said, the last thing I have is back on debris removal. We had a end of February deadline. They have notified us that they will extend that if we request an extension for another 6
Oh,
months.
that's great.
So
Oh, yeah.
I think I know what your pulse is, but I have to get your authority to ask for an extension for 6 months. We think it'll be
That's
approved.
great.
Yes,
That's
it's-
great.
Okay. Well, Mayor, with that, I'm through. Thank you.
Okay.
Back on that last subject, I think that we should allow you to pick, you know, if it doesn't work out with the Workforce Commission, to be able to also pick the trustee.
I like all
You know.
three, to be honest with you.
We'll try to get them going for you at the same
Yeah,
time.
that if it doesn't work out one way, that y'all have the option.
Thank you for that flexibility.
Okay, item 9, report, city manager report.
I think you're through it, tired. Yeah, I think you're tired of listening to me. I don't have any more reports.
City council report, start on my right.
I just want to thank everyone for coming out today. I believe we're headed in the right direction. Everybody's doing a great job. Thank you so much.
No report.
No report.
Thank you all for coming today. Yes, I wore a pink tie because Valentine's is tomorrow. I'm happy to say that. I'm not afraid to wear pink. Also, before we go, I wanted to ask one more question because even though I know it's really, really cold right now, we're getting close to the summer and we usually are looking for our lifeguards. I had a citizen who's already contacted me about what's going to go on with the natatorium and all that. So if we can start that process or looking into it, whatever we're going to do for the summer.
If that's a question, I have some other answer. of where we're at. As you know, in the years past, it has been very difficult to get employees, lifeguards for the natatorium. It seems that the attraction to pay lifeguards, even for cities like Austin, they have had to delay openings for several weeks. So it's not just a City of Orange problem, it's a City of Beaumont problem, it's a City of Houston problem, and it's a City of Austin problem. And I have opinions about what the problem is. It's not pay. We raised the pay, I think, to $10 or a little over $10 an hour. The issue is just finding interested people, adults or teenagers, that become certified that want to be a lifeguard. The other issue that we're seeing a challenge with already is a pool manager. We have to have a pool manager that runs the day-to-day operations of the natatorium. That's it in a nutshell. The lady we've been using, we've been very successful with, but she's indicated she's not interested. So without that, we're dead in the water. Well, that's a bad pun. Without that, we won't be able to open. So,
is there like any, I know from me and I remember Mr. Councilman Gidry before he left, our kids have to have something to do for the summer. So
Yes, I agree.
we got to find, is there any, if we can look into, whatever we have to do to look into something, I want to make sure we got, I know I sound redundant, something for the kids to do.
I agree.
Is
We
there
should-
any other option? I
we don't
mean,
have
what else
plenty.
can we look into?
well, we have talked in the past, and this may make people uncomfortable, but staff never really got a direction. So I'm not restating something that we've been told no about. But we have tried to talk at a workshop level what to do with this bond money that's going to expire and be available to refinance in the next 12 or 18 months. I don't know exactly about that. And there has been open discussions and dialogue with the council in these workshops to set up a splash park. You know, a total architect vertical splash park. And there was even soft discussions because y'all know the age and the challenge that we have with the natatorium to keep it running.
Right.
Y'all are aware that many communities, small like us, have opted out of being in the pool business because of the challenges, because of what it is. I mean, our pool, if you raise it to, James Lawrence is in the audience, if you raise it to within a foot or 18 inches of the top, it starts leaking just because of its age.
Yes, sir, we did a rough calculation, just from leak, it's just around 200,000 gallons a year that just leaks.
So my point is, and we've had discussions, y'all are open to that idea, about doing a master plan type splash park in the footprint of where the natatorium is, because it's such a centralized location, available to park and easy access. It has a lot of amenities, a lot of shade trees. So, I mean, if it's the pleasure of the council, we can schedule something, or we can, you
I
know,
would like that.
survey some architects and bring a recommendation to you to have this discussion. You know, eventually, somebody sitting in y'all's seat's going to have to make the hard call about what to do at the natatorium. I think the best advice is do it while you have options available to you to consider some other quality of life to put there versus having to close it and not having any funds available to do something with to address doing something for the children.
Right.
I agree with
That's,
that.
you know, I don't know where this conversation will take us, but I think it needs to be had, and I think the time is right to have it.
So how
Thank
do we
you.
set up a workshop? Just request one? Can I make a motion?
I hear the message from you, and we will go to work on scheduling a workshop.
Can
We
have
need
lobster?
something, because kids can start getting involved
Can we
in
have
things they don't need to,
Messing with
you know?
Shaw.
They don't
Yeah,
have
now-
anything to do.
I don't get it. There are other things we need to do with those funds. We need to pave streets, you know, so.
Yes, sir. No,
I don't want
we
you, I
understand
want to
that.
come to the workshop with an open mind, but there's staff's needs that we've been tabling, you know, and Harvey exacerbated this by damaging road surfaces even more than we were planning. So when I come to you, it's going to be a master theme splash park, but it's going to be some monies for some roads
Yes, sir.
and some
Well,
other
we-
possible things.
We normally have workshop budget anyway. I mean, there's nothing wrong with maybe just getting one started early. And I know we gotta fix streets, there's a lot of other things we need to take care of, I'm sure. But I know that I hear it all the time, as well as other council members, is that people who say, there's nothing for our children here to do, they have to go way to Beaumont or to this place in Sulphur.
Right.
So my thing is, I want our kids to have something to do here too as well. I don't want them to
Yeah,
have to go out
and
there.
I mean, this will be, you know, this will have, I don't want you to have sticker shock, but you're looking at $1 million project.
That's fine.
And,
But I'ma tell you
but I
something.
think it'll be a wow project.
When you trying to attract businesses here
gotta
and
have something.
attract people, you still have to have something for their children to do as well. And when kids don't really have anything to do, they start getting involved in things that they should not do.
We're on the same page, and this is the discussions we've
Yes, sir.
had, and thank you for bringing it up.
Yes,
It gives
sir.
us an opportunity to come back and do a workshop.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Right, I'd like to also thank everybody coming today, Mr. Jurgen and Mr. Evans. Thank you all for coming and educating us and letting us know what you do. Look forward to
Thank you.
talking with you. Thank you very much. With that, I'll, item 10, adjourn to close executive session. Please remain seated while I read the caption. A, deliberation with city attorney pursuant to chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. 1, deliberation with legal counsel pursuant to Texas Government Code, chapter 551.071, consultation on the Orange Fireman's Pension Fund Financial Stability Restoration Plan. We will reconvene in open session.
And Mayor,
Okay.
just for the people that if they want to wait, that's fine, they can wait, but you won't be taking any action, so they don't want to wait, they can go
Yeah,
on.
there will be no action taken, so, if you do want to